Good morning. A decades-old anti-adultery law is repealed. No longer a criminal affair, jail time will not be a means of punishment anymore. The infamous Islamic State executioner is identified, a Kuwait-born 26-year-old from London with a computer science degree. U-Kiss is back in Korea with a new album. With a strong fan network around in Korea and around the world, what's next? The Tokyangbu district in Goyang City, just west of Seoul, the area offers a relaxing atmosphere with the Eats to match. In Korea Today, Friday, February 27th, 2015.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Kim Min-jung and Oh Jin-ju.
Good morning, everyone. This coming Sunday is the National Independence Movement Day, and on this particular occasion, Koreans are advised to put up the national flag, the taegukgi. Not a lot of people do it. Maybe half of the population.
I would say between the times in the past, there were more flags that were flown. But at the same time, as time went on, people, I think, are forgetting to do that.
But there is a campaign to get more people to hoist the national flag.
Right. The number of households these days that actually put up the flag outside the windows of their houses has dropped drastically, and recent figure shows that less than 10% of the households actually put up the flag on last year's Independence Movement Day. So this is why they're trying to promote this campaign and encourage people to put up the flags on this particular day.
All right, so
and I think I speak for a lot of people when I say you feel proud when you look at taegukgi and you feel a little warm inside. So do go ahead and put up the national flag on Sunday.
That's right. So do show that patriotism if you are here in Korea and for Koreans around the world. Now we jump to our top headline for this Friday morning. The Czech Republic is now Korea's 20th strategic partner following a summit between President Park Geun-hye and visiting Prime Minister Bohuslav Sobotka. During the Eastern European country leaders' visit to Seoul on Thursday, the two heads of state met at the presidential office of Cheongwade to commemorate 25 years of diplomatic ties and released a joint declaration outlining areas of closer collaboration. These include trade, economy, energy, and infrastructure. A memorandum of understanding was signed in three major areas: foreign affairs, defense, and railways. Cooperation with Czech Republic's high-speed rail projects was outlined in the MOU, while Korea expressed interest in participating in Prague's nuclear plant projects. Both leaders expressed mutual concern regarding North Korea's nuclear weapons programs and agreed on the need to cooperate on the issue of Pyongyang's dismal human rights record.
North Korea has notified the South that it's raising the monthly minimum wage for its laborers working at the Inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex in the north by more than 5%. Seoul's Unification Ministry said Thursday that Pyongyang has sent a fax notifying the South of its wage hike from the monthly $70.35 to $74 per month starting March. Some 53,000 North Korean workers who are employed at 120 South Korean and international companies operating in the Kaesong complex received more than $140 per month on average in 2014. A Unification Ministry official says Seoul cannot accept Pyongyang's unilateral decision as the burden falls solely on the companies, and that the government will notify the firms to pay the current wages until the issue is resolved. The matter is feared to once again stir up tensions between the two Koreas.
After marathon meetings and many delays, Korea's nuclear watchdog voted in favor of extending operations at the 32-year-old Walsung nuclear reactor. The decision to restart the 678-megawatt nuclear facility until 2022 came on Thursday, sparking strong opposition from local residents. The Nuclear Safety and Security Commission failed to reach a decision on two previous occasions due to arguments between pro-extension groups made up of researchers from state-run institutes and opposition from civic groups and universities. Inspection of the reactor was completed by the state-run Korea Institute of Nuclear Safety with the conclusion that it could run for another decade last October, but the decision was delayed after questions were raised about its safety. Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Company is expected to restart the reactor sometime in April.
Yesterday's Korea's Constitutional Court has overturned a 62-year-long law that made adultery a criminal offense. Now, under this law that has been at the center of controversy for decades, husbands or wives who cheated on their spouse could face a jail sentence of up to 2 years. But with yesterday's ruling, any issues regarding extramarital affairs will now be brought before the civil court. And for more on this ruling and how Koreans are reacting to it, we're now joined by Arirang News' Shin Se-min here in the studio. Good morning, Se-min.
Morning, Chin-ju. Yes, just before yesterday, South Korea was one of the few Asian countries that criminally charged those who were found guilty of having an extramarital affairs. Now, that may lead you to believe that the repeal of this law may make things easier for cheaters, but that's not exactly the case. Having an affair will no longer be a criminal offense. That's the ruling issued by Korea's Constitutional Court on Thursday, following 4 previous appeals, with the last being in 2008. The ruling is based on the argument that the law infringes on an individual's right to privacy and that extramarital affairs should be regulated by civil law, not criminal law. But not everyone is happy with the decision.
Having a family myself and as a father of 2 daughters, the ruling is a little disturbing. I can't help but wonder if the ruling may work against my daughters in the future. I think having a sound household is the most important thing.
Being responsible for the marriage you vowed for is a given. So with this ruling, I feel like there's no law to protect the family.
Letting individuals decide themselves about sexual freedom sounds about right to me. With the ruling, I think there will be more changes in Korean society.
It bothers me to think that the issue of extramarital affairs may get out of hand.
Despite these concerns, charges on pending cases will be dropped upon review. The decision has raised a question of whether roughly 3,000 people found guilty since 2008, the last time the law was confirmed to be constitutional by the courts, will file for a retrial or demand compensation from the state. And one concern that's been expressed is that affairs could become more prevalent. But experts believe that will not be the case.
Adultery is still illegal. It is still a civil case. The criminal court is leaving the matter to the parties directly involved.
Experts say that the amount of compensation or alimony during civic trials should be increased to keep things in check. Under the law, an extramarital affair was a criminal offense punishable by up to 2 years in prison. But only a small percentage of those deemed guilty were jailed, as infidelity is difficult to prove and enforcement of the law has waned in recent years. Kim Kwang-sam, a former prosecutor, believes that abolishing the law would not lead to a rise in the number of extramarital affairs.
Other nations that have struck down anti-cheating laws, such as France or Germany, didn't experience a major social breakdown after decriminalizing adultery.
As a ruling largely reflects a rapidly changing Korea, breaking away from the traditional conservative norms, experts say it was a necessary move for private freedoms.
So, Se-min, let's look a little more into the consequences that will follow. You mentioned that over 3,000 people were found guilty of adultery, and these people may file for retrial. So what are some of the other potential consequences?
Yes, like you just mentioned, some 3,000 people will be able to sue for retrial or compensation to overturn their sentences. And you might think the government will have to pay out a lot in compensation for the cost, but that's not exactly the case because only 22 people were put behind bars, and the rest they just all got off on a suspended sentences. So the cost is expected to reach about only $200,000 US, which isn't much considering the number of retrials that are expected to happen.
So only 22 received jail sentences out of over 5,000 cases brought to court since October 2008. But that raises the question of whether this law was actually put into practice.
You're right. That's something a lot of people have pointed out as well. And even for those 22 people who were sentenced and who served time, the amount of time that they served wasn't that great, but was pretty much 6 to 9 months. So it was very light punishment. So that's why this anti-cheating law was blamed for its outdatedness and the deadness of the law. But that brings up another interesting point, because the law itself was largely used as a leverage for the plaintiff or the spouse that has been cheated on, because in that case, if you take it to the family court, then it gives that cheated spouse more leverage when it comes to receiving more money for the unfaithful spouse. So that was one of the means that this anti-cheating law was used in many cases. So that's another factor that was put into consideration by the country's highest court.
So in divorce cases, you mean?
That's right.
All right, so still a lot of debate going on this ruling. Thank you, Semin, for that report this morning.
My pleasure.
Good Friday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, of course, the biggest story in all of the papers is the Constitutional Court's ruling to scrap Korea's anti-adultery law. But since you did just hear all of the details, let's move on to some of the other key headlines that's running on the front pages. We'll first look at the Korea Economic Daily today, and this article is titled "Reverse Growth: Samsung Electronics Freezes Salaries for the first time in 6 years." Now, Korea's top tech giant Samsung Electronics said yesterday that it has decided to freeze the pay for its employees this year. And the handset maker has been struggling to recover from a slump in its core mobile business, which unfortunately have been eating away at overall profits, mainly due to rivals like Apple and Xiaomi, for instance. If we go ahead and look at the sub-headlines, with that, the business management environment at Samsung is expected to become somewhat unpredictable, possibly to cause some ripple effects on other conglomerates' wage negotiations as well. Now let's go ahead and look at another headline on 조선일보, this one here on the side. And this is regarding the Presidential Chief of Staff, and the title says, "New Presidential Chief of Staff to be announced soon." Although President Park Geun-hye appears to be grappling with the final decision on who to choose as her new Chief of Staff, it is believed that the replacement will come as early as today, possibly. Going ahead and looking at the sub-headline, she's contemplating between 2 to 3 candidates as her new right-hand man, with Hyun Myung-kwan, the head of the Korean Horse Affairs Association, recently having risen as a possible nominee. Now, the rest of the personnel reshuffle is also expected to take place along with the selection of the new Chief of Staff. Cheongwade officials say that the nominations will probably happen as soon as possible before the president embarks on her Middle East trip this Sunday. Now, over on 동아일보, we'll take a look at this headline here in the center about a conference that was held yesterday on the creative economy. And it says government to actively purchase and utilize new technology from small and mid-sized firms. And this is what Deputy Prime Minister cum Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan said yesterday at a conference on Korea's drive for an innovative creative economy that was together hosted by this daily and the broadcaster Channel A. If you take a look at this image there, Minister Choi delivered a congratulatory address where he said some $7.3 billion will be funded in executing measures to realize a creative economy, stressing that the government will seek to achieve groundbreaking ways to innovate the general R&D investment system here in Korea as well. And finally, today we'll go ahead and wrap with a look at Gyeongyang Shinmun here. And it's this one, we'll take a look at this image. And it says the title is "Irregular Workers at Hyundai Motor Celebrate After Winning a Lawsuit." So the Supreme Court yesterday concluded that all use of subcontractor labor by Hyundai Motor is now illegal. The caption explains that the company's irregular workers here are celebrating after the final ruling deemed such in-house subcontracting illegal. Now, these workers will effectively be given the same status as the company's regular workers from this point onwards. And that was a look at our local headlines this Friday, and following are the stock numbers from Thursday.
Well, believe it or not, today is the last weekday of February. Time just flies, huh?
Yep.
And spring must be just around the corner.
We're hoping for that, but it's not showing any signs yet. There is a cold snap that we're in the middle of. It is rather chilly outside. We'll go to Lee Ji-hyun, who is actually freezing in that chilly weather right now. Good morning.
Good morning, Ji-hyun.
Good morning, guys. The last cold snap before spring will continue to sweep the peninsula today. It's bringing down the sensory temperatures to nearly -10 here in Seoul, so be sure to dress in extra layers before heading out today. Though this cold snap will ease up tomorrow, the daytime high will rebound to the seasonal average. But on Sunday morning, we are looking at a chance of mix of rain and snow in the forecast. So please bear that in mind and plan accordingly for your upcoming weekend. On that note, let's take a closer look at today's cold temperatures. Now, the daytime high here in Seoul and Daejeon will rise to 3, and daytime highs in Daegu and Gwangju and Jeju Island will be peaking to 5. Busan makes to 7, and Gangneung tops out at 2. Well, that's all for the weather. Stay warm today, and back to you in the studio.
Now, the infamous Islamic State executioner dubbed Jihadi John has reportedly been named. We'll find out more about this and other global headlines with our Eunice Kim standing by at the news center for us. Good morning, Eunice.
Good morning.
He is the masked man featured in beheading videos, and now he is now known to have been raised and educated in London.
That's right, Min Jung. He grew up in a middle-class suburb of West London, according to the Washington Post, which first broke this story, which unnamed U.S. government officials did later confirm. Jihadi John has been identified as Mohammed Mwazi, born in Kuwait, but moved to the U.K. at the age of 6 and graduated with a computer science degree from the University of Westminster. Friends believe he had become radicalized shortly after graduating in 2009, at which point he did come under the radar of Britain's domestic intelligence service, MI5. Jihadi John, of course, first rose to notoriety in August of last year when he first appeared in the execution video of American journalist James Foley. His distinct London accent later identified him in future videos as well, including those threatening the lives of American journalist Stephen Sotloff and British aid worker David Haynes. Now, the London Metro Police has remained mum on this latest identification. The Ukrainian army has begun to withdraw their heavy weaponry from the front lines, according to the truce agreement. This, according to Ukraine's defense ministry. It said it was abiding by the truce brokered in Minsk on February 12th, and that foreign observers will monitor this first step. The move follows claims by pro-Russian separatists that they had started to pull their weapons as well, though this has yet to be verified by monitors. It also follows a noticeable lull in the fighting. Ukraine's military said it saw no new fatalities in the past 48 hours, though several soldiers had been wounded. Meanwhile, America's top diplomat John Kerry is set to meet with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on March 2nd in Geneva to discuss regional issues.
In the meantime, Japan is hosting a familiar royal. Prince William of the United Kingdom has touched down in Tokyo to an enthusiastic reception, albeit a little wet.
Yeah, that's right. It was a rainy day yesterday over in Japan when the prince arrived. He will be in Japan for the next 4 days as part of a week-long trip that will also take him to China to promote friendly relations with the two Northeast Asian neighbors. Now, at the Hamarikyu Gardens, the Duke of Cambridge was greeted by a group of hundreds of umbrellas, some of them held by students and school children, who also also waved Japanese flags along the Union Jack to welcome Prince William. There may have been some disappointed fans in the crowd, though, as the Duchess, Catherine, was not accompanying her husband, as she is soon due with their second child. The prince kicked off his official agenda with a traditional tea ceremony with Tokyo's governor, who also gave him a tour through the ancient gardens, once the private villa of a feudal lord until the 19th century. Now, he is also set to make a visit to the Fukushima prefecture on Saturday, where he will eat local produce. This is being viewed as a controversial move because critics, including the victims of the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster, say he's being used by the Abe administration to show the region is recovering and safe, potentially clearing the way for his pro-nuclear policies.
Do you happen to know if he has layover plans in Korea?
It does not seem so at the moment, but maybe we can make a special call. Just kidding.
Thank you, Eunice, for that. From one famous person in Japan to a group of famous people, we're going to be talking about U-Kiss later today. After spending 9 months on tour around the world, the boy band is now back in Korea. The group has a strong network of fans in all parts of the country. We catch up with the latest on U-Kiss, so stay with us.
And there's plenty of discussion online on the repealing of the anti-cheating law.
Right, and with this heated debate, some people were curious about how Pyongyang dealt with adultery. And for more, we're now joined by Arirang here in the studio.
Good morning,
Good morning, guys. That's right. So the question is extramarital sex a crime in North Korea? So let's have a look at the two related laws. First, by criminal law, it says if you cause another married couple to divorce, you'll be punished with public service up to 1 year or up to 2 years of imprisonment. And in addition, there is an administrative criminal law which states that if you divorce your partner for unjust reasons, habitually engage in debauchery or engage in sexual activities outside of marriage, you'll be punished with unpaid labor or a fine. So definitely there is criminal punishment related to extramarital sex in North Korea.
For some reason, we're not surprised.
Not surprised. Actually, I kind of felt that it was surprisingly light than what I had expected. Meanwhile, 9 out of 10 senior citizens in Korea said they felt younger than their actual age. So the Samsung Life Retirement Research Center surveyed 500 seniors between the ages of 55 to 79 nationwide and found that a whopping 88% of respondents felt at least 3 years younger than their actual age, and only 1% said they felt older. Now, what's interesting is that this gap between actual age and self-perceived age increased as they became older, so that those in their 50s felt younger by an average of 8 years, but those in their 70s felt younger by 9 years.
You know what they say, age ain't nothing but a number.
That's right, especially if you're young at heart. And it looks like 80 or 70 is the new 60.
I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
Okay.
You're probably going to feel like that for the rest of your life. You know?
You missed it by a couple of years now.
Now, going from seniors to children, the Seoul city government finds that the number of the city's child population has almost halved over the last 2 decades, and this is translated or expressed in child classroom sizes as well. So the number of elementary students last year was just 460,000, which is roughly half of that in 1994, and an all-time low since records have been kept from 1965. Meanwhile, class sizes at middle and high schools have decreased as well, from 50 students per class in 1994 down to 30 students in 2014.
All right, so the lesser amount of students could actually mean better learning opportunities, because one teacher that's allocated to the number of students, that might actually help a little bit.
That's
but
right. So
at the same time, it does show the dwindling childbirth rates.
Exactly. And speaking of child rates, the nationwide child rate is low, but it's particularly low in Seoul. It's the lowest of all cities. And as you mentioned, this is just one consequence of that. Now, staying in Seoul, The Seoul City government announced stricter measures yesterday to minimize the disposal of recyclable resources. Now, the approach is multifaceted and it includes increasing the number of recycling stations at residential and retail areas, and imposing fines on convenience stores and fast food restaurants that don't meet a certain level of recycling, and requiring businesses that produce more than 300 kilograms of waste per day to identify the bags with the business's name and phone number.
All right. Thank you, Arirang.
You're welcome.
And stay with us on Korea Today. We're going to take you to a place close to Seoul, but far out enough to give you a nice breather. Follow the stretches of Hangang River until you reach Deokyangu district in Goyang City. You can pack in a lot of fun outdoors for the family, and Joe McPherson shows us where to find the food.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with the 2015 Honda LPGA Thailand, which kicked off its first round of play on Thursday as the Koreans look to continue their dominance in the 2015 season. But the Koreans struggle a bit overall on the first day as Brittany Lang, Stacey Lewis, and Yani Sang take the lead at 6 under par, while only 2 Koreans in Imi Lim and Amy Yang make the top 10, shooting a 4 under par tie for 4th place. Meanwhile, Kim Hyo-ju made her season debut in the LPGA, struggled at shooting an even par, and is tied for 40th place. Now, even though the 2-time Olympic gold medalist Lee Sang-hwa might not be competing in the National Winter Sports Festival, many had their eyes on Park Seung-hee, who, of course, converted from short track to speed skating just last October. And she didn't disappoint during the 1,000-meter event as she finishes with a final time of 1 minute 20.14 seconds, good for first place overall. Now, despite the fact that she's just recently converted to speed skating, it's actually her second gold medal overall in speed skating, but her first gold medal during the National Winter Sports Festival, as she hopes to continue her success leading up to the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games. Now, Park Ji-sung is flat-footed, but still ran like he did and did a great job on the pitch. And because of the extra mile he went to become a great footballer that he gets the respect that he deserves. Now, Squawka.com, an English-based football website, had an article talking about some of the best Asian footballers to play in the EPL. And in the same article, they listed Park Ji-sung, calling him arguably the best Asian player to play in the EPL. Meanwhile, the article also named Swansea City midfielder Ki Sung-young as they praised his passing skills and his 89% successful passing rate, which is ranked amongst the best in the league. Now, the Pittsburgh Pirates might be known amongst the Koreans as the team that signed Kang Jung-ho, but did you know the team also has the most number of former KBO players on the team? Well, aside from the former Nexon hero Kang Jung-ho, 2 other former KBO players are currently on the 40-man roster, including Radimus Lees, a former LG Twins pitcher known for his blazing fastball. And another player who signed a minor league deal this past offseason is former Doosan Bears pitcher Chris Volstead, who's looking to make the cut after spring training, as all 3 players will get a chance to play against each other during their inter-squad game on March 3rd. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Now, some of the members of this boy band are very well-known faces, especially on Arirang TV and some parts of Arirang Radio. And I think it's safe to say that...
I've seen them in the hallway. Some of them in the hallway. Yeah, it was such an exciting moment.
Did you get a photo op?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, it's safe to say that their popularity is even bigger overseas than here in Korea. And our Denny Hong joins us to talk more about U-Kiss, who has made a comeback. Good morning.
Good morning. You see him in the hallway, I kind of hang out with him sometimes.
Really? Oh, wow. Good for you.
They're a little young, but okay, so we're talking about U-Kiss. They are back with their newest mini albums, their 10th mini album actually, called Always. And last year they were a little bit busy with touring in several different places around the world, so we did have some chance to catch up with them while they're here in the country, so let's take a look. Let's go. They're considered among the icons of sexy idol groups, and befitting their name, ubiquitous Korean international superstar, or simply U-Kiss, they have managed to carve out a spot for themselves on the global stage 7 years into their debut, and we got to sit down with the group once again.
What's up, Korea? Today we are U-Kiss!
We're here once again with U-Kiss. I think this is our third or fourth interview. Can you tell us about how it feels to be back?
While we were away, we had our Japanese tour. Yeah. We went to the European tour, Asian tour. But now we're back after 9 months, and it's great to see our Korean Kiss Me's again. And we're back with a new album called Always. It's our 10th mini album.
Last year was jam-packed for U-Kiss, and after kicking off the year with a tour around the Americas, they traveled across Asia, landing in Russia, the UK, and France as part of their first European tour. What would you say are the distinct characteristics that fans have in those different areas?
열정적인 것은 어느 나라든 다 똑같은데 조금 다르다고 한다면 일본 팬 여러분들은 약간 저희들을 뒤에서 이렇게 지켜봐 주시는 느낌? 또 유럽이나 남미 팬 여러분들은 정말 그 파워가 느껴져요. 같이 공연을 하는 느낌이에요. 유럽 팬분들은.
네, 프랑스에서 공연하는데 저 U-Kiss 노래 중에 하나라는 곡이 있거든요. 거기다가 또 안무를 이렇게 만들어서 다 해주시는데 그거 굉장히 감동받았어요.
울었어요, 수현이 형.
Each time they return, U-Kiss has won over attention with their powerful choreography. From their arrogant dance they put out when the group was still green to the provocative couple moves they put on stage, the members have transformed from energetic youths into mature men. And with their new mini album, Always, they're back with a softer charm.
It's a more mature side of U-Kiss. We've always been doing hard choreographies and pretty intense dances, but this time we kind of moved to the smoother side, and you can see mature and more manly side of U-Kiss. Yeah.
In their song Playground, members highlight a new side of the group with the portrayal of a yearning heart found within beautiful lyrics. Could you show us a little bit of the handkerchief dance?
좋아했던 여자친구의 약간 추억이 여기에 다 담겨져 있어요. 그걸 회상하면서 이제 이 행거칩으로 춤을 추는 거예요.
휴지입니다.
They ran out.
Here. Use this. There you go.
What is this?
So they use those handkerchiefs on stage. You carry one in real life.
5, 6, 7, 8. Tuk, tuk, tuk. Tuk, tuk,
It actually looks better with one red one. Now, despite their continual cross-border hits, their transformation is not confined to the field of music. Hoon and Eli have shown off their potential as actors on the screen, and most other members have been on stage for musicals. June and Kevin, they started off this month in Japan and doing exactly that.
제가 일본어를 잘 못해서 케빈 형이 좀 많이 도와줬던 것 같아요. 같이.
Okay. Now, for your role, Jay, it was triple casted, I believe, right? Yes. So you had Yoonhak as well as Chunji playing the same role as you were.
I just tried my best, and I want to do better in the future. I don't want to be boasting or anything, but it was a really fun experience for me.
And despite the continual cross-border projects and performances, U-Kiss still always comes brimming with enthusiasm and fun. But one of their secrets to staying on top of things comes from their fans. Now, of course, I'm asking you all these questions, but we do want to give the opportunity for your fans to ask you questions too. Okay. So we actually prepared a couple of interview questions, and please be honest with your answers as well.
요즘처럼 바쁠 때는 차 안에서 지내는 시간이 많을 텐데 차 안에서는 주로 무엇을 하면서 지내시는지 궁금합니다.
오케이. 이동 시간 때
저는 노래를 많이 듣는 것 같아요. 노래를 듣는데 U-Kiss의 노래만 듣습니다. 저는. 왜 이렇게 거짓말을 하지?
Do they all hop on the same car? Or
Oh, yes, they do. So for our Korean Today viewers, we had UKIS film themselves on the road to capture some of those
핸드폰으로.
Oh, wow.
아니요.
게임하잖아.
아니요.
게임해.
책 보잖아요. 친구들아. 나 책 보잖아요.
소식이 책은 아니고
네.
만화 보잖아.
Comic books are so good.
Who is that?
That's Suyeon's nephew, actually.
Oh.
벌써 노래 불러.
이럽니다.
벌써.
이럽니다. 하루 종일.
활동이 많다 보니까 이동하는 시간에 좀
맨날 차 안에서 먹고
자야 되잖아요.
차 안에서 자고 하나 더 있다.
뭐요?
우리는 차 안에서 팬분들이 주신 손편지 편지 읽잖아요.
그렇지. 감사합니다.
덕분에 이동 시간이 즐거워요.
네.
All right, so our second question.
일주일의 시간이 주어진다면 뭘 하고 싶으세요?
만약에 일주일이라는 시간이 정해지면 일주일간 잠만 자고 싶습니다. 사실 저희가 이번에 컴백하고 너무 바빴어요. 진짜 하루에 많이 자면 4시간. 전 못 잘 때는 아예 그냥 못 자고 바로 스케줄 가는 경우가 되게 많았거든요.
아니면 6명끼리 여행도 가보고 싶어요. 일주일 동안.
일주일 동안?
아무데나.
맞아.
일단 우선인 거는 일단 잠을 원 없이 일단 자보고 남는 시간을 좀 놀러 가고 싶어요.
오케이.
Okay, first thing though, you need to sleep.
Yeah.
As always, it's been a lot of fun hanging out and talking with you guys again.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Can you please say one final comment to all of our viewers of Korea Today?
All right. This year will be a great year for us and Kiss Me because we'll be going all over the world again to meet all of our fans, to do tours and fan meetings. So look out for us anytime in your country, and we'll always be trying our best to really make our Kiss Me's happy. So thank you so much, and we love you guys. 지금까지 유키였습니다.
It's not just their dreams and goals that keep them going. UKIS continues to strive for the best with their fans in mind, and they've secured a spot for themselves in the K-pop industry as a name that is so many recognizable people see them around the world, and they adore them as well.
Now, Denny,
Yes.
that handkerchief, is that the handkerchief in question?
Yeah, yes, it is, actually.
Well, can we sell it for thousands of dollars? Can we at least see it, please?
It's just a handkerchief.
Well, it's not just a handkerchief anymore. It's touched by UKIS, and this could fetch hundreds of dollars. I don't know.
No,
I've
I've actually had that handkerchief for 16 years, so we're not going to give it
It's the first
away.
time UKIS member
There
has
you
touched
go.
it. So.
Double the value, right? It's the 16-year-old handkerchief that Denny Hong used that's been touched by UKIS.
It's mine now.
Basically, okay, so Eli actually, he left his handkerchief in the van before they came in, and he was like, oh, right. So then he just got a tissue from the table and just put it in just in case, but that would look a little cheap, so we gave him that instead.
We've had UKIS on our program for
Several
a number
times,
of times,
yeah.
yes, and they are always back with something new, and this album is quite different as well.
Yeah, so for this one, obviously 7 years since they debuted, and so they've had a transition in their musical styles. Normally, though, in the past, they've been relying on more of the driving, stronger beats, but on this album, they're actually more emotionally rich in their content and also the styles as well, too. And so that's kind of part of the evolution of their musical style. And also, Eli and June, they both played a hand in writing the rap portion for the song Playground. And when the album came out, even though it's been 9 months since their last album, at one point they did reach the #1 spot on an online album sales chart, and then of course it came back down a little bit too. But it just kind of shows you their popularity still endures even after somewhat of a longer time away from album releases.
Okay, we hear about their popularity in, or K-pop's popularity in South America and other parts, right? But Russia and Cambodia also.
When it comes to definitely a lot of K-pop groups, they do tour many different countries. But for UKIS, they've had a lot of firsts. They were the first tour in South America. They were the first to have a solo concert in Brunei, as well as have a fan meeting in Cambodia. So they're kind of known for trying out different locations that may not have been visited before. So I think that's also part of their popularity too.
And we know that Kevin and Eli are native speakers of English because they hosted some of the shows on Arirang TV. But I also heard that they're good at Chinese and Japanese.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, well, it's a national group in the sense. So like when it comes to Eli, for example, he also studied in China, and so he does speak Chinese too. And then of course some of the members, they do speak Japanese because a lot of their fan base is over there as well too. We had Kevin and June. They actually were both casted earlier this month for On-Air Night Flight, which is a musical entirely in Japanese, and so that was a little bit of difficulty, but they worked that one out. Eli is going to be starring in a drama in China. He's going to be one of the stars of a show called Full House, which is based off of a Korean drama that was popular in the past too. And so, you know, because of their multilingual abilities, I think that also helps for their fan base to be able to communicate more directly with them.
You know, it's tough to be in a boy band idol group these days. You know, you have to be good looking, smart, speak
Dance
multiple
well.
languages.
Sing well.
Everything, right? It's like an all-around thing. So what's next for you, Kiss? What do they have planned for this year?
Well, because of the popularity of their tour last year, they are going to go around Europe again this year, as well as, it's been the first time in 2 years, but they're going to go back to South America for a couple other concerts. And then also they have an album that's supposed to release later on in Japan. So they are going to be quite busy this year too.
All right, so international fans, be on the lookout, right?
Thank you so much, Danny, and we're
problem.
keeping the
No,
we're
that.
making some money here. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Put it up for auction.
Yeah, sure.
오늘이 지나니까 날 떠난 태초 미쳐 소리 질러 즐겨봐 또 이 밤이 내가 안쓰러워 보여 어쩌면 다른 남자와는 달라 내가 널 그린 본 아무 말도 하지
All right, well, on Korea Eats today, we're going to check out Young's neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's right. It's Deokyeonggu in Goyang City. Now, this is an area that's just west of Seoul, right outside. And Joe McPherson joins us to tell us a bit more about that area.
Good morning. Let me tell you more about where you live.
Oh, you have a battle. You guys talk it out.
And what's funny is I kind of live near that area too, so it's kind of good.
It's kind of a hidden area. It's not very popular, not very crowded, but there are some hidden gems in there.
Well, the thing is, it's convenient to Seoul, and that's why we live out there. It's really nice. It's a good place. Well, actually, even though it's still cold right now, spring is coming, and so it's a good time to go on one of those drives out of Seoul with the family. And so Deokyeonggu is, and it's in the city of Goyang, is a really good place to go for a weekend drive. So let's check it out.
The city of Goyang late last year became the 10th city in Korea to reach 1 million residents. Now, the district of Deokyeonggu has a lot of hidden spots. So let's go check it out. The first place we're going to visit is the Latin America Cultural Center, which presents you with an exotic experience from a completely different world. Tour around a beautiful fountain to some soft and comforting music, and it feels like you're almost in a different country halfway around the globe. The Cultural Center has a museum, an art gallery, a sculpture park, an exhibition hall on religion, and a mural. At the museum, you can get a look at relics from the ancient Maya, Aztec, Olmec, and Taino civilizations, leading up to more modern elements from the region. The art gallery has work from famous artists in Central and South America on display, and the bright and strong colors from paintings and needlework draw in your eyes. There's also a recreation of a beautiful church within the exhibition hall, which seems to have transplanted grand and majestic architecture you would find in Latin America. Walk around in the open to get a look at the sculptures out on display, and it gives you a satisfying cultural intake from Central and South America. Since we've enjoyed a good dose of cultural delights, now it's time to please the palate with an eye-catching dish. First, to get a whiff of spice going, they throw in spicy Cheonggyeong gochu and dried chili into the pan. Then vegetables and an octopus are stir-fried with a secret chili powder. Added to this is this restaurant's special stock and mussels, and you have fiery broth that is poured over noodles.
Oh yeah. Wow.
If you don't feel like a hot and spicy dish, how about something sweet and sour, like this octopus tangsuyu? Add to thinly sliced strips of octopus a batter made with potato starch, egg whites, water, and glutinous rice powder. Fry it until it gets that nice golden hue. And then the sweet and sour sauce made with lemon, vinegar, sugar, and a lot of different vegetables is poured over.
Classic tongue-suke right here. Perfect. Oh.
This time we'll head over to Bedagol theme park, which has so many different things to enjoy. Bedagol is short in Korean for village where boats reach, and it comes from the old name of this region where ancestors here used to dock their boats. The park opened just a few years ago, but it is becoming a popular destination during the holidays with its colorful carp village, animal farm, and so much more to see, luring in an average of 1,000 visitors on a daily basis last summer. At the carp village, you can see some 20 different types of carp, including those that have just been born. The fish here fetch anywhere between some thousands to tens of thousands of dollars and are exported around the world. It's a great place to get a look at a vast variety of special carp. The Folk Museum has recreated a street from the 1970s to give you a better look at life back in the day. And they've put on display actual antique goods collected from all over the country, making it feel like you traveled back in time. After a full tour, we're now at Hwatong Jokbal, where there's a special dish made with jokbal, or pig's feet. Sitting in the middle of this restaurant is a brick oven. The pig's feet are first boiled thoroughly to get rid of any nasty smells, and then steamed for 20 minutes to get some moisture into them. And finally, they're put into the brick oven that's fired up to 400 degrees for about 5 minutes to complete the crisp and lean jokbal that they're loved for. Pizza is their recommended dish if you're looking to pair up the jokbal with something else. On a thin crust, white garlic sauce is brushed out, and on goes mozzarella and gorgonzola cheese. It goes straight into the brick oven, and there you have your gorgonzola pizza with an ample amount of cheese on it. The jokbal and pizza pair may seem a little bit off balance, but the baked jokbal that comes with a clean and lean taste goes perfectly with the rich, thick taste of the cheese from the pizza. And the mutual baked scent they come with also creates a nice shared flavor.
That's really good. The pickled leaf kind of cuts out some of the fat, so it's not as rich. That's just a perfect match right there.
Dokyeonggu District is full of unique things to look at and experience. So how about driving out this weekend for a trip that comes with great taste as well?
All these foods from Young's neighborhood. We're gonna enjoy this.
That's right.
So let's start with the tangsuyuk that we see in front of us. Tangsuyuk is usually made with pork.
Right.
This is octopus. So
Right.
special.
Right.
Try some of
I
that.
was honestly skeptical when I first heard about it, and then I tried it, and it's my new favorite dish.
Is it?
And I
Is it?
love it. It's quite a bit lighter, not as much fat. Still deep fried, but still, it has a really cool flavor to it that you would not expect, and it's not
it's not really tough. It's tender. It's chewy. A slight bit of chewiness. But I actually like this. It's a sweet and sour octopus.
It's really yummy. It's not as tough as I had expected.
Right.
I thought the whole thing would just slip out. You know how if you can't cut it with your teeth, it's just the whole thing slips out?
Yeah, right.
But it didn't.
If you don't do it right, it's like chewing on shoe leather.
You know what it reminds me of? You know when you go on the streets, we have those street food, right? And they have the ojingo tigim, which is the fried squid.
And that's always done, almost always done just perfectly, right?
Except this one has actually the 탕수육 sauce on there.
Right.
And it's,
So yummy.
and it's instead of squid, it's actually octopus.
It's two great tastes that taste great together. It's like the 탕수육 guys walking down the street, the ojingo twigums guy going down the street, and they bump into each other, and boom.
Marriage.
We got
A perfect marriage.
That was great. Now looking at the chokbar there, the pig's feet, and
Yes.
this is actually the pig's feet as well as the leg, and they use both the hind and the front legs, right?
Right. They use every part of the pig.
This
Nothing
one's a
gets
little
wasted.
bit different because most of the time they're boiled, right?
Right.
And this one kind of adds an extra touch with baking the outer layer.
That was the one thing I thought was missing from jokbal. I like the flavor, but we have all the skin there. We want it crispy. We want it crispy, crispy. And one way to do it is to put it into a really hot oven. That's one way of doing it. I still think someone needs to deep fry these things. But until then, we have the oven baked one. So it's kind of crispy on the outside, but it still has that tenderness on the inside. So it's all the good qualities of pork. Now, if you've not tried pork feet before, please don't be scared because really all the flavor
It's just the
is
name
right
is
there.
a little off-putting.
Well, it does get cleaned quite a bit.
And this
Doesn't
is the
matter.
spicy one, right?
Now, this is a spicy one. We also have some sauces. But what this one restaurant did that made it so interesting was they cooked this gorgonzola pizza. Now, I would say gorgonzola pizza is it's quickly become a Korean thing to me because I used to live in Europe.
This is spicy.
I never saw
No?
much, dipped in honey.
Dipped in honey.
I like the gorgonzola dipped in honey. I think that's a really cool idea.
You know, I should
So the
have known
honey
when
part maybe came from Korea. Maybe it was an invention. What is it?
I should have known that when the staff actually put water in front of us, that means it's going to be
That
spicy.
means
This is so
something.
spicy.
So the one thing that's going to help you is fat. So one thing that's kind of fun is try to wrap the jokbal in the pizza as your wrap. That's actually kind of fun.
So this is how we do it in Korea. Take the pizza and then dip it in honey.
there. And now
like
do the added
this.
step and throw the jokbal in there.
Look at
That'd be kind of fun.
Wow, look at that. Look at that, honey. Dripping all over.
Oh, is this for me?
Yeah, because
Oh.
you said it's spicy.
There you go.
So I just do it like that. Right?
Yeah.
This is the way to really
Teamwork.
do it.
This is modern Korean cuisine right
Should I
here.
wrap
This
it
is
in
where
that,
it's evolving
samchu?
to.
Fusion.
Go ahead.
The jokbal is one of Koreans' favorite night snacks.
Yes.
This might be a silly question, but from when did Koreans start eating jokbal?
Why are you asking, Joe?
There are,
curious.
for me, the food history is always so interesting. It actually has its roots in the Joseon Dynasty, but it didn't really get popular until the 60s and 70s. There was a neighborhood in Seoul that was popular for wrestling matches, Korean wrestling, not what we used to see on TV. And these pig's feet vendors would go around, and everyone would be fed by these pig's feet vendors, these jokbal vendors. And so it became very popular. That's how it became known as a more celebratory food, something you eat while watching sports or something entertaining on TV. And it's an easy dish to deliver and set up, and it's kind of like, you could say it's the poor man's bosom, you could say.
It is packed with nutrients, protein in the skin of the feet as well, and collagen, right?
Oh yeah, it has all that in there, and it's quite fun to eat as well.
Sounds great. Thanks for bringing that.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to burn your mouth.
But I want to add that some people might be wondering what that combination with the pizza and also the jokbal, what it tastes like. But it's like the cheese; it blends so well with the spiciness of the jokbal that it's perfect. It goes so well together. I think I have my breakfast right here. Thanks for breakfast, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we do have some couple of announcements to make here on Korea Today. I'll be taking next week off. That's the first announcement. That's minor.
All right. A vacation.
Here comes the big announcement, and it's rather unfortunate news that we have to share with you. Korea Today is coming to an end.
Right. March will be the last month for Minjung, Young, and I bringing you stories about and coming out from Korea. But let's look on the bright side. We still have a month left, so we'll make it an exciting and interesting month.
That's right. We have until our last show will be on April 3rd. So make sure to tune in every day until then. And then I'm sure we'll be bringing you the quality broadcasting that we're known to bring, or hopefully.
Guaranteed. All right. Well, thanks for watching today, and do join us same time next week
on Monday at 7 a.m.
Have a great weekend. Bye.